Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane Savilasa Mahamoha Jnana Grasa Grahaika Karmane. Hari Om. Welcome to this evening's episode of Vedanta Shravana Sadhana Yagna. We are looking into Tripti Dipa, chapter 7 of Panchadashi. The text is written by Swami Vidyaranya. So we've been looking into the story of the 10th man, and that story signifies that the 10 people are there, the students are counting, and because of that they are crying, and the master comes the way. They say, why are you crying? I can see the 10th man. He quietens them down, and then he begins counting along with them, and he takes the hand of the 10th man to point it to himself and say, I am the 10th man. And so everybody is happy that the 10th man is found. So the story we saw is about how the 7 layers of our knowledge, from first is Ajnana, then is Avarana. Ajnana is I don't know who I am. I don't know Brahman exists. Avarana, I don't know that I am Brahman. Vikshepa, because I don't know I am Brahman. I think that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, Vikshepa. And then the teacher comes, Paroksha Jnana. The teacher says Brahman is there. And then Aparoksha Jnana, I know I am Brahman. Because of that, all dukkha goes away, dukkha of samsara, knowledge. This knowledge of I am that self removes the sorrow of this samsara, which is birth and death and every other sorrow we experience. Dukkha, shoka, apagamaha, and then nirankusha, tripti, the continuous and unfettered contentment is what we saw. We've been seeing in these, and the question and answers, even though we may think that these question and answers between the students and the disciple, the guru and the disciple, may be skipped, because if we have understood these are the 7, now we can contemplate on what is the Brahman and focus on that. Why should I know what is the importance of objective knowledge given by somebody else? What is the importance of subjective knowledge? Why all these hair-splitting arguments between the guru and the disciple and other disciples? Even as we are studying all this, we spend so much of time contemplating on that Brahman, talking about that Brahman, and this reflection itself gives clarity on each thought and each word, and that clarity takes us closer and closer to understanding of the real truth in a very fast manner. And in whatever it may do, it definitely helps in purifying our mind. So we will look into these 9 more verses of the questions that the disciple is asking on the validity of this indirect knowledge. Meaning, if the direct knowledge is going to be different from what is indirect knowledge is Brahman is there, direct knowledge is I am Brahman. If that is going to be so different, then is it complete? That's what the student is asking. Vyaktyanulekhamatreణ brahmatve swargadhirapi bhranti syat vyaktyanulekhat सामान्यो लेख दर्शनात् व्यक्ति अनुल्लेख matreण brahmatve. This experiencing, just because, does it become false? This knowledge, does it become false with my experience? Just like Swargadhihi. Somebody says there is Swarga. I don't have experience of Swarga, but somebody else says, the Puranas, they say there is Swarga. The great masters talk about Swarga, but I don't see it. Then is that knowledge wrong? Can it be falsified? Is it erroneous? Is it Bhranti? Is it also false? Like in the same way, the master sees and he says there is Brahman, but I don't see it. Does that knowledge then become false? Syat will become Vyakti Ullekhat, due to not experiencing by that individual, Samanya Ullekha Darshanat, but being commonly spoken of in the scriptures, but I don't experience that. So the question is, if indirect knowledge can make it false, then knowledge of heaven also can be made false, though mentioned in the scriptures. In the same way, is it going to be that? So Guruji, Puja Guruji here says a very beautiful example. For one who has never visited America, its knowledge also is indirect. If I have not gone to America, knowing about Chicago, or knowing about New Jersey, or knowing about Atlanta is going to be indirect knowledge. But does that mean that America does not exist? Does that mean that Chicago or New Jersey or Atlanta or Georgia, these states don't exist? It is not illusory. Just because I have not experienced heaven, it does not mean that heaven does not exist. In the same way, just because I have not experienced the self, it does not mean that the self does not exist and this knowledge is wrong. This knowledge is there, and when the experience happens, it will be corroborated. There is no doubt about this. The previous question is continued in the next verse. अपरोक्षत्व योग्यस्य न परोक्षमतिर्भ्रमः परोक्षमित्यनुल्लेखात् अर्थात् पारोक्ष्य संभवात्. That which is fit for direct experience. So even if I know the truth that Brahman exists, when the master says and the Upanishads say that knowledge becomes complete only when I realize it. So that which is fit for direct experience, is it not falsified by indirect knowledge? It is the same question asked again and again. The idea behind all these questions is, and answers is, so that we may walk around that shloka, we may walk around the topic like how we walk around the temple. We do circumambulation again around the deity. It is not a physical exercise to go round and round the deity. As much as we go around, that perambulation we do, we are contemplating on the deity for so long. In the same way, we go round and round the shloka for a long time, from this facet and that facet. We are contemplating more on this verse, and that makes our understanding deeper. That which is fit for direct experience, is it not falsified by indirect knowledge? Which means, if I am experiencing I am the Brahman, that is a direct experience and the final knowledge, will this paroksha jnana not get falsified? Will it not be irrelevant after this realization? Only in terms of meaning it is indirect. Meaning, this Brahman is what the teacher is saying. Brahman is, the teacher is not telling, he is not pointing out the student, the Brahman is you, and he is not telling the student to believe that. It is the student who takes it up and contemplates and realizes that. The teacher says, Brahman asti. Asti Brahma is what the teacher says. And the student contemplates and meditates and realizes, Aham Brahma Asmi. So, there is no falsification of the knowledge, only the meaning changes here. Brahman is being said by the teacher, and the understanding of the student Brahman is, but that Brahman which is I, is me, myself. Aparokshatva yogyasya of that which is fit to be an object of direct knowledge. This Brahmajnana is direct knowledge. Na parokshamatihi, indirect knowledge. Is it not delusory, erroneous, or false? Paroksham, indirect, iti, thus, anullekhat. It is not being mentioned that it is paroksham. Arthat, in terms of meaning, paroksha sambhavat. This paroksha or the other's perception. Like as we mentioned the other day, the difference between pratyaksha, paroksha, and aparoksha. Pratyaksha is the object I can see in front of me. In front of my eyes, aksham prati. I can see this cup with water, and so I know, I have the thought that this is a cup. This is pratyaksha jnana. Paroksha jnana is the cricket match is happening in Australia. I am not going to Australia. I am sitting in Puducherry. I am switching on my television. The match is beamed through television cameras and relayed through satellites and caught by this Pondicherry satellite stations, the Doordarshan station or Tamil Nadu Doordarshan station, and beamed to Pondicherry, and I am seeing it. So that is paroksha. Somebody else is watching, I am seeing it, and I trust it that this is true knowledge because I believe and trust in the people who are videographing it and telecasting it for me. Pratyaksha jnana is, it cannot happen in the case of a cricket match, or maybe pratyaksha jnana is, if I am playing in the cricket match, then I know, yes, I am playing cricket. But here in this question of Brahma jnana, aparoksha jnana is I am Brahman. Paroksha, somebody else's eyes. Aparoksha, not somebody else's eyes, which means my own direct experience. Asha amsha grihiter bhrantischet घट ज्ञानम भ्रमो भवेत निरंशस्यापि सांशत्वं व्यावर्त्यां शविभेदतः amsha grihite. For one person, there is a big pot. Okay, there is this idol of Ganesha. Amsha grihite. I am catching hold, I am touching only one part of it. Amsha grihite. Maybe the others are hidden. I am seeing only one part of it. Amsha grihite. Bhrantihi chet. Ghatajnanam brahmo bhavet. If it is erroneous or if I catch hold of a part, when the teacher says Brahman asti, that is part of the knowledge. If I catch hold of the part, will it become erroneous or false? If Ghatajnanam, knowledge of the pot, is false, niramshasya, if the one which is partless, even sa-amshatvam, being with parts, due to the removal of the false adjuncts, when the conditionings are removed, will that knowledge become false? Because that knowledge is without all the conditionings, the conditioning of the body, the mind, and intellect. So that is, different amshas are there. But this Brahmajnana is without any parts. There is no parts in Brahman. But we are talking of different parts here. Will it become falsified due to the removal of conditionings? No. Asattvamsho nivartetam paroksha jnana tastatham abhanam shani vritti syat aparoksha dhiya kritam. Asattva amshaha, the aspect that the truth is non-existent. What goes away when the paroksha jnana is given by the teacher says Brahman is. That is the knowledge that the teacher gives. And the student understands Brahman is. Now what goes away from the student? The lack of understanding that Brahman is not. It's a part knowledge that goes away. Knowledge is non-existent. Nivarteta, it will go away. Paroksha jnanataha, by indirect knowledge, by the knowledge of the teacher, the students' misunderstanding or non-comprehension that there is no Brahman, that incomprehension will go away by indirect knowledge. Tatha, in the same way, abhana amsha nivritti syat, when the removal of the aspect or the notion that the truth, when the student realizes, so there is only two things that go away. In paroksha jnana, the student is free of the ignorance that there is no Brahman. That much only goes away. The student understands very clearly that Brahman is there. In aparoksha jnana, the student clearly understands that the ignorance that I am not Brahman goes away, and I am Brahman remains by direct knowledge. That is what is achieved by this direct knowledge. The aspect or notion that the truth does not exist will go away by indirect knowledge. Two things goes away. What goes away is not Brahmajnana. What goes away is not the truth. What goes away is the non-apprehension of the truth goes away when the teacher says Brahman is. And then the truth does not shine in me. I can't see I am Brahman. That understanding is there with the students. But when they receive the knowledge and they meditate upon it, and with Ishvara's blessing and Guru's grace, that knowledge that I am Brahman dawns upon that individual at one point of time. And when that knowledge dawns, that Brahman is not revealed to me, that veiling will go away for the student. These are the two things that goes away because of the partial understanding of paroksha jnana, which is given by the teacher. So now connecting this back to that story of the 10th man, we are winding up with this part of it. Dashamostiti vibrantam paroksha jnanam ikshyate brahmasmityapi tadvat syat jnanavaranam samam. So it is just concluding the 7 steps and in what way it is connected with Brahma Jnana. Dashamaha asti iti vibrantam. Paroksha Jnanam, indirect knowledge. When the teacher is pointing, 1, why are you crying? Stop crying. Now I will count along with me. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the hand comes, count yourself now. Number 10. And the student rejoices, oh, I am there, the 10th man is there. They don't say I am there. They said we have found the 10th man and I am the 10th man. They sound. Vibhrantam, it is not false. Paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge is not false. It is seen. Ikshyate, Brahma, the self, asti iti api, tadvat syat, in the same way, ajnana avaranam samam. This veiling due to ignorance also goes away when the individual realizes that I am that Brahman. Just like how the teacher pointed out that the 10th man is with self-knowledge, realization of the self directly, the student understands that I am that Brahman which the teacher pointed out for me to find out. Atma Brahmeti Vakyarthe Nisheshena Vicharite Vyaktirullikyate Yadvat Dashamastvam Asityataha. Atma, the self. Brahma. Atma means we don't need to look up or look side, look behind and see anywhere. Atma is a very simple meaning, simple word in Sanskrit and in English. It is a 1-letter word. Atma is equal to I. The same I that we say, I am going, I am coming, I am eating, I am walking, I am talking. We are using that same I for referring to other activities. Atma, I. Brahma is that truth, the self. iti. Thus, vakya arthe. If I understand the meaning of that sentence, Atma Brahma is one. Nisheshena, thoroughly I understand this. Vicharite, and not only understanding, when I analyze that, even this, all these verses, that all the three letters, the three words, Aham, Brahma, Asmi, for a lifetime we can contemplate on these three verses. It is not that realization is something that we contemplate, we get it at one point of time on this date and number I was enlightened, and after that I remain enlightened forever. Yes, that enlightenment is there, but there is no end to that reveling in the knowledge. Like, you cannot discover one part of the ocean and you say, I've discovered the ocean completely. You can go on, keep swimming in the ocean, you can keep diving deeply, you can take gems from the ocean, realizing all the time that you are swimming in the ocean. That is the kind of depth of this knowledge of the self. Atma, Brahma, the self is the truth, iti, vakya arthe, meaning of the sentence, nisheshena vicharite, when I analyze thoroughly, vyaktihi ullikyate, that individual, the ways to realize this truth is to do vichara or contemplate on this statement. That individual realizes the truth, yadvat, just as along with the teacher, the student counted and he had trusted the teacher. He was very calm. That number 9 figure, only 9 people are alive. That number 9 figure was very strong in his mind and strong in their thoughts. And so they were not able to think beyond that number 9. All that the relaxation happened when the teacher said, don't worry, relax, the 10th man is there. They got relaxed. They said the teacher knows somewhere. Maybe he swam ashore and this man saw him. And so he's telling whatever they had confidence. And when the teacher pointed out to the 10th man, he realized with all joy that yes, I am the 10th man. In the same way, the Paroksha Jnana is given by the teacher. They point out that Brahman is there, and then he contemplates on that Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, and then he realizes that salt doll which is searching with this mantra, I am that Brahman, I am that Brahman, with that heat of that search, it melts and merges in that ocean of Brahman. Dashamah ka iti prashne tvamevyeti nirakrite ganayitva svena saha swameva dashamam smaret. Dashamah kaha, who is the 10th man? This story is only kept as a peg and going, we are doing circumambulation of the story. The 10th man, who is the 10th man? Iti prashne, when thus questioned, tvam eva iti nirakrite, the answer, it is solved. When the question is asked, you are saying only 9 people, 9 people, 9 people. Who is the 10th man? If I ask, you are only the 10th man, why didn't you count yourself? The teacher gets angry, he will say that. What buddhus you are? You are not counting yourself, you are counting only 9 people, and you are saying missing. You are the 10th man. The teacher says, it is answered, nirakrite. Ganai, how is it solved? Ganayitva, we count 1, 2, 3, 4. Even it is not only for the 10th man or someday it happens. How many times we count money? Suppose you have to count 10,000 rupees. Two notes will come together. Ganayitva again, and you start crying, oh my God, I lost the cash. Somewhere I think I've dropped it. In the ATM, we have to call the bank now. Ganayitva, relax. First relax. Ask somebody else to come and count. You count, 2 notes will be sticking together, you will remove it. That 10th note is there. Ganayitva, svena saha, along with oneself, counting it. Swam, oneself. Eva dashamam smaret, that person recognizes, oh my God, how foolish I was. I am only looking outside for everything. I am not taking myself into consideration. We do that all the time. You enter into a big hall, you are the only person in the hall, and somebody asks you on phone, is there somebody in the hall? You say there is nobody in the hall. That somebody is you. The 10th person is you. We don't take ourselves into consideration, because we are enamored by this world. We see the attractiveness of everything. We love the objects. We love the people that we see. We are crazy about the things that we see. We don't think that we are the person who is seeing everything. And that is why also science can never take us to this. The science can come only up to paroksha jnana, only up to pointing out, even if it's a particle physics, even if it is parting about the God particle also. It is only the Celeron accelerator at CERN laboratory. You can see the God particle. You cannot see the God particle anywhere. You cannot discover the God particle. You cannot find God because you saw the God particle, because you are still looking outside. Only when we look within, we will be able to discover that Brahman, that truth, that I, self, God, Atma. Dashamosmiti vakyotha nadhirasya vihanyate adimadhyavasaneshu nanavattvasya samshayah. It's very beautiful. We are doing all this to realize the self in all our activities, in and all through our search. Whether we went to LKG, UKG, first standard, college, university, we went to Satsanga, we studied Vedanta, we studied Upanishad, and we are meditating, we contemplate, we have done so much of work so long for so many years. And all through these years, we may be close to realization, we don't know. We may have got it, we don't know. But all through this time, the self has already been there. It was not somewhere and it landed up and came and sat here and became Avirbhava at the time of enlightenment. No, it was always there. Just like all the 9 members were there throughout while the counting, and the 10th man discovered himself finally. Dashamaha asmi iti vakyotha, risen from the statement that I am the 10th man. Na dhihi asya vihanyate. His knowledge of 9 people has not gone just because he discovered that. So how beautiful this is. It is not only joyous to study the stories of Krishna in our Bhagavatam, stories of Sri Rama, even in this Vedanta statements of great masters like Vidyaranya, we can revel with so much love in the way by which they have expressed all these the beautiful facets by which we realize ourselves. Dashamaha asmi iti vakyotha, rising from the statement that I am the 10th man, nadhihi vihanyate adi madhya avasaneshu. In the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, that knowledge that 9 people were there, na navatvasya samshayaha. Did that person, when he discovered that I am the 10th man, did he start crying, oh my God, now where am I to find the other 9 people? Have they washed away in the river? No. That knowledge does not go. The 9 people are there, which means Brahmajnana gives us permanent joy, peace, and happiness in life. That is the tatparyam of the statement. After I get the knowledge of I, after I get the knowledge of self, I am Brahman, I do not cry about anything else in life. Till I get the knowledge of Brahman, till those people found the 10th man, they were crying thinking the 10th man is not there. But when they found the 10th man, they are not having any wrong thoughts that 9 men have gone and only 10th men are there. It is not about the counting and the finding. It is about the reality. The truth that 9 people are there, that knowledge doesn't go away in the beginning of counting for the 10th person, in the middle of counting of the 10th person, and at the end of finding the 10th person. So even as we are searching for Brahman, even as we are talking about Brahman, even as we are listening about Brahman, even as we are contemplating about Brahman, even as we worry that how long am I to do all this? How long am I to study this Viveka Chudamani, Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Bhagavad Gita? And every master, so many masters, even new books are coming. They're all being written. How can I study so much? When will I know the Brahman? It doesn't matter at all because it is only a time pass. Brahman is already there. We don't need to do anything to find it. We don't need to get excited about finding it. It's like Svakantha Bharanam Yata. It's like searching for the glass that was there, frantically searching. Oh my God, can't you see? It is on your head. And you put the glass and you don't get extra excited before that, after that, a little bit excited, and we may even think about our folly of searching. That is what happens. Only the experience is, the folly of the search only is evident at the end of finding it and realizing the truth. So we will continue with the next few verses tomorrow on this Tripti Dipa Viveka. Om Sarvesham Swastirбhavatu, Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये, हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम।